Hello, welcome to our Introduction to Programming course. My name is Bertrand Meyer and I'm going to be teaching this course along with my colleagues. I'll be teaching most of it, but it's actually a team effort and a number of my colleagues are going to teach some of the lectures. The course comes to you from ETH, the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Zurich. Here behind me you see the Lake of Zurich in this beautiful summer evening. And ETH is one of two federal universities in Switzerland where we have been teaching this course for more than 10 years now, and we are now making it available through the internet to the rest of the world. Out of the course came a textbook. It's called Touch of Class. It's published by Springer. The full title is Touch of Class. Class is an allusion to one of the key programming mechanisms that we're going to study very soon. And the subtitle is Learning to Program Well with Objects and Contracts. We will also encounter the notion of object and the notion of contract very soon, and the emphasis is going to be to learn to program well. This is an introductory course. We start completely from scratch and we don't assume any prior programming knowledge on your part. Now, it doesn't hurt at all if you already have programmed. In fact, it's going to help you, but it's not required. And if you have had some programming experience, be prepared to have a new perspective on some of the things that you already know. And as I said, we start completely from scratch, but we go fairly far, including towards the end of the course to concepts that are seldom studied in introductory programming courses. We'll see a little bit about lambda calculus, we'll see about event-driven programming, agents, and such advanced topics. So be prepared for a rather complete view of programming starting at a completely introductory level. How does it work? Well, the course is divided into pieces. More precisely, is divided into lectures, and a lecture is either a piece in itself or is divided into smaller pieces, and each piece is about 10 to 20 minutes, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more, but that's about the normal range. And I strongly suggest that you take each piece in a single sitting. It's not a good idea to interrupt a piece, so if you need to get a cup of coffee, wait until the end of the piece, because they're really designed to be followed in a single session in each case. A fundamental characteristic of this course is its emphasis on quality. In fact, we saw it in the title of the book, more precisely the subtitle, Learning to Program Well with Objects and Contracts. What does it mean to program well? When I started programming, very few people around me had any idea what computers were, and even fewer knew what programming was about. Today it's quite different. Many people have done some programming, and just being able to say that you can program is not such a big deal. What matters is the ability to produce high quality programs. What does quality mean for programs? It means, for example, that your programs are correct, that they do what they're supposed to do. It means that your programs are efficient, meaning they run fast and they use as little memory as possible. It means that your programs are extendable, meaning that if you change your mind or if your customer changes his or her mind, you're not going to have to redo everything. It means that your programs are reusable, meaning that if you're faced with similar problems in the future, you will not have to redo everything from scratch, but you can reuse some existing software components. So these qualities, correctness, efficiency, extendability, reusability, are some of the examples of software quality factors which really make the difference between a so-so program and a professional quality program. And this latter variant, the professional quality program, is what I want to teach you to produce. And this is clearly essential in today's world where lots of people can do some programming, but relatively few people can do good programming. So please bear with me if once in a while you have the impression that I pontificate a little bit. I'm going to emphasize important principles of software design meant to foster quality, such as information hiding, such as the principle of uniform access, and many others that we will discover over the lectures. And this is not just for preaching, it's because these principles make a fundamental difference in practice between so-so programming and good programming. The method that we're going to use to learn programming is one of the most important forms of programming today. I would say the most important and most successful form of programming today, namely object-oriented programming based on the notion of class and object, and particularly in our case on the notion of contract. And we're going to use the EIFL programming language, which is an object-oriented programming language that is used in particular for very large mission-critical applications in finance, in the aerospace industry, in telecommunications, and which is also quite appropriate for teaching. Coming back to how it works in practice, once in a while you will hear this little sound. Well, this is the little bell that tells you that a quiz is coming. What kind of quiz? Well, typically these are not very difficult questions. These are just questions that are intended to check that you followed the previous discussions, and sometimes it asks you to guess the answer to the next question. And to reveal our Swiss secrets here, well, where does the bell come from? It comes from this Swiss cowbell, which is going to serve as your clue when it rings that a little quiz is coming. Now, aside from the quizzes that come during the lectures themselves, you also have ways to assess your progress much more formally. We have exercises that are separate from the lectures themselves. We have badges that you are going to get if you give good answers, and in particular we have the ability for you to execute programs and test your results. So we have a special version of EIFL, of the EIFL environment, that has been designed specifically for this course, in which makes it possible to execute your programs directly on the cloud, as they say, on the web, on a remote server, and to compare your answers to the correct answers. So this is the whole infrastructure that has been developed for this course, and I hope it will be useful and will help you learn programming fast, efficiently, and I hope pleasurably as well. So enough general descriptions. Let's now get to work. I expect that you're as eager to start learning the concepts as I am to start teaching them to you. And now we are able to move on to the first lecture, which will be about fundamental concepts of programming, specifically fundamental concepts of object-oriented programming, namely classes and objects.